By now, everyone has seen the Paris Olympics opening show and they had a reaction.
4-hour Olympic opening ceremony was one of the most watched in Olympic history, but it was also one of the most talked about, not least for its inclusion of drag queens and the LGBTQ community.
The scene is clearly referencing The Last Supper, saying that it was the new gay testament.
A few moments later.
She deleted, of course, the post later.
They mock Christianity more than any other religion, because if they did mock Islam or even the LGBTQ community, there would be outrage, right?
The far right here in France called it a provocation, whilst many Catholics all over the globe were united in their distaste for it.
Right. Seems like being offended was the theme. Me, on the other hand, I wanted to take my time. I wanted to look at it from every possible angle. I wanted to understand the reasoning behind that and then look at it through the worldview and also the Christian view. This is what we're going to talk about in this video. We're not gonna watch the whole video because I'm tired of seeing it, you're tired of seeing it, but I'm probably just gonna show the picture just for relevancy, you know, the algorithm. I already had a couple of problems with the Olympics to begin with, but to add this on top, you gotta ask some whys to some big names. But I digress, because my issue with this is the church's reaction. How does the church respond biblically to what we see in our current world, in our current time? When your pastor is working on his sermon, he doesn't start Saturday night, right? It starts during the week and works the sermon all the way through. Now, some pastors get inspired the night before, and things like that can change. But for the most part, it's a planned out sermon that's been practiced, rehearsed a couple of times. So I understand that current events can also not make it on a Sunday. But then the following Sunday, though, it could. Maybe the Sunday after that. But either way, news like this should be circulating through the church because a lot of kids don't watch cable or TV. They are just seeing whatever is popping up online. If I see a little snippet of this thing that happens through the Olympics, it's going to get passed around TikTok. It's going to have some dark, ominous music to it. It's going to have some conspiracy theory reactions, all types of things. I mean, these things travel so fast. And we're not the people that are seeing it. And I'm talking about we as in millennials and older. We're not the people seeing these things. It's the younger generation, the Gen Z and below. They are seeing these things, but they're not seeing it as something that was on TV. They're seeing it with reaction, with music, with emotional jolts to create something, to divide, to do whatever. So this kind of news should be circulating all through the church. It should be an announcement. Hey, we're going to cover this as a warning to our high schoolers, our middle schoolers, so they can prepare and see what's happening. Because some of these guys are great athletes that might end up having to compete in the Olympics. And imagine what the Olympics would look like in 2026 or 2030, however the years go by. I just made that up. We have to remember that the younger generation are exposed to this reality as their reality. So the church should be responding like emergency bells should be going off. Like, we should be figuring out how to rebuttal to this. We should be having reactions like this so we can create conversations around the community so we're all aware that spiritual warfare is real, and it's starting to be even real to non-Christians or non-believer as we're all starting to see what's happening in the world so plainly. So ultimately, I think the church's reaction could have been a little more aggressive. If your church has an online presence, an Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, you should be reacting to this stuff. Your church should have a stance. Ultimately, we all have to have a stance. So the church's reaction for me was the most shocking, but I'm not shocked things like this happen. I don't think we all should be. As a Christian, you should be able to brush things like this off. Boycotting the Olympics the choice for Christians, or could we still watch it? I've seen Christian athletes like Raíssa Leal from Brazil who did this during the Olympics. You can see it's not all doom and gloom. So boycotting the Olympics doesn't really solve the issue of whether or not sin is going to be prevalent in the world. I think as Christians, we should be supporting the athletes that are in that battlefield, like Raisa Leao. And I'm sure there's many more Christian athletes that are representing the Lord in France right now. So for me, the reaction from the church was poor. Most Christians out there, yeah, we should be standing on the truth and rebuttaling these things. Also, we should remember that next generation are more impacted by these things than you are if you're, a millennial and older. But there you have it. Just open and honest conversation about what happened at the Olympics. Spiritual warfare is just part of the game, baby. Hey, if you like this channel, subscribe, follow, whatever they're doing on this thing. Look out for Bible studies coming Friday nights, 9:30. I'll tell you guys the date for the launch so you guys can join us there.
I've been jumping through hoops. I've been playing it cool.